Hey guys, it's Angel, and welcome back to the channel. No, this is in fact not MSFS 2024. By golly, I wish it was. No, you've seen all the recorded footage I have, and I really don't feel like regurgitating the same footage I have over again, because you've seen it between the two videos I posted. Now, what I did want to do was tell you some thoughts of mine about 2024, in a more informal setting. I've not written a script for this. This is typical Angel, off the cuff, hit it where it goes, see what happens sort of video. But I do want to first off, before I get to my opinions, go over some of the commonly asked questions and misconceptions that have been hit so far in the MSFS field. Now, this includes, of course, will my stuff transfer from 2020? We'll take that in two parts. First off, stuff from 2020 itself, as in famous flyers, local legends, Asoba releases. Yes, and marketplace purchases as well. If they get updated, they'll be technically included. But of official stuff, yes, as it's updated, it'll be there. So we'll get back to this one with Aviator Edition later. Third-party stuff. Well, some developers are coming out and saying they will be releasing their product in 2024 with a free update. Some said it'll be paid. Some developers like Fly Inside Sim, or the recent release of the Sierra, C24 Sierra, said their price is slightly higher on release of the 2020 version because it will include 2024 as a version. So we're seeing different approaches from the third parties. But in general, if it's something you've got currently of the official stuff, it will transfer. Now, this applies only if it's from the same platform. And this is where pre-order will come in. Those things will not be transferred over if you buy the marketplace version, Steam version, and you already have the Microsoft Store version of 20. So if you have the Steam version of 2020 and you buy the marketplace 24, it will not transfer. Nor your marketplace purchases will not be there. If it's the same platform, it will. Steam to Steam, MS to MS, it will. Not a problem for the Xbox people. For PC, depends on the platform you purchased on to buy on the same one. This is more of a legal issue than a technical one. It's more Steam and Microsoft playing different fiddles. It's one of those things that can't be helped, unfortunately. Now, of course, people would be asking about GSX, and I don't know the answer to that. Best place to ask these developers is themselves. Somebody asked, of course, will we get dual jetways? Really? You chose that hill to die on. That aside, computer performance has been a big one people have been talking about a lot, and this is something I want to dispel myth-wise, because people saw the ideal specs and they defecated a small horse. Because yes, those specs are redonkulous. The Ryzen 7 7900X, i7 14700K, Radeon RX GPU 9700 XT, or a GeForce 4080, 12 gigs VRAM, normal these days, 64 gigs of RAM, not normal these days, 50 gigs of storage, fine, 100 megasecond internet connection, not bad these days, but not everyone can get that. Let me bust some myths. Now let's look down at the the recommended specs, shall we? And I'll go down Radeon, the GeForce, which is a 2080, moderate these days, and a 2700X from Ryzen for the AMD. For Intel, they want an i7 700, and the Radeon cards are 5700. Now, I had that in my previous build. I had a 2080 and a 2700X. This one I'm on a 5900X, and I'm on a 3070 Ti. I am not scared at all that I'll be able to max out this 2024 in Ultra. Why are the ideal specs so high? Well, Avengel, I'll tell you why they're so high. Why am I talking to myself? I don't know. They're so high because that is the absolute what you will need to run this sim in 4K, Ultra, everything maxed out, in full-on 4 or 8K or whatever stupid resolution you can think of, whilst streaming, whilst running Navigraph, whilst running Minecraft in a separate window, whilst running every other program you could possibly run on top of the sim. Which, considering that some aircraft like the Phoenix A320 run on a separate program, it's worth considering external programs. That's the kind of spec you'll need to basically monster this thing into submission and be okay. Will anybody really need that outside of the people that build PCs because they wanna? No. You'll be fine. Because the room between recommended and ideal is a massive gulf of PCs. The internet connection's a thing. I will say at the Arizona event, we had pretty rubbish internet, and it was performing just great. That 100 megasecond, by the way, is if you want to basically stream. Yeah, this is the connection we're hitting here. You want to basically play the sim, you're loading a whole brand new area of terrain that you've never flown in before, and you want to basically load the whole area and do multiplayer and stream at the same time. You'll need a big connection, yes, that's what it's saying. Is that what you absolutely need? No, no it's not. Not at all. And that's fine. Moving on. Cost. People are talking about the cost differences. Base game is what? £60? Translate to your local currency? 70 aircraft are included and a bunch of airports. That's kind of crazy. That's more than we got in 2020 in terms of base aircraft numbers, by the way. Same price. Now, the bigger version, which is like £90, you basically, or £80, £89, you're still basically getting, for £30 more, you're getting a whole bunch more aircraft, about 10, 11, 12 aircraft, and that's quite a reasonable amount, I'll be honest. For the deluxe edition, of course, you get the Albatross, the Baron, the 152 Aerobat, the Skyhawk, the Ag Truck, the Titan, Sky Courier, the 2 Diamonds, and a Sea Star. That's 10 more. And that's £90 of aircraft at local legend prices, right? Not bad. And it's only costing you 30, so that's a third. The same ratio of cost to what you're getting goes up for the Premium Deluxe. And you can buy these individually afterwards if you want them. Which seems to me very, very reasonable. When it comes to the aircraft that are included in this, we've talked about things like the 152 Aerobat. What's the difference? 4-point harnesses, ejectable doors, structurally rated to do aerobatics. It is different to the normal 152. The Skyhawk, it's the steam gauge version. Again, it's different and we got it in the upgraded versions of 2020 as well. Is it a filler? Kind of. Does it really matter? Not really. There are some really cool aircraft in there though by people like Mike Johnson for the Albatross. We're getting 80 simulations on the Sea Star. We've got Coronado planes in there, and the 404 Titan will be cool. The new Sky Courier. In Premium Deluxe, we have Height Performance Group's H225 Airbus helicopter. We have the C90 from Coronado with working title avionics. Working titles 2 747-400s, the Supertanker and the Dreamlifter. We have Miltech's C-17, Blackbird's C-47, Chinook, Gottfriend's Taurus, and the Savage Norden. All of which are super cool. So we're seeing some really awesome aircraft that are coming out with these versions, and that will be, to me, a big, exciting deal. Don't you think? That's big for me. Now, the cost versus reward for Aviator. This is the one people keep talking about because people say, oh, it's just not worth it. Well, if you, like me, own all of them, as in all the local legends, Asobo releases, and Famous Flyers, it's not worth a penny. No. It's not worth a thing. Why? Because you own them all. You'll get them all. You'll already have them, so don't buy it. Now, if you own less than 20 of the local legends, Famous Flyers, or Asobo releases, it will absolutely be worth every penny you pay. Are you getting nervous about hitting this mountainside ahead of us? I absolutely am getting nervous about hitting this mountainside ahead of us. I'm getting real nervous about hitting this mountainside ahead of us. So, we're just going to see what happens. If you own less than 20, it's worth every penny. Because you're essentially paying an extra cost of 10. Price did go up for tax reasons recently, but you're basically paying for the cost of 10. Which isn't actually terrible. Not in the grand scheme of things. And you're paying the price of 10, you get 20 free. So if you own more than 10, or own less than 20 of them, sorry, it's worth the cost. If you own more than 20, it's not worth it at all, because you could buy them individually and it would be cheaper. And look at that. I planned my altitude perfectly. We're going to fly right over the top of it. It's a thing of beauty. Flight planning is wonderful. I'm not an idiot, and it wasn't pure luck. Now, let's get down to the important business here, because it's about 10 minutes of me talking about your usual common questions. And if you've got more questions in the comments, put them down there. I'll do my best to answer with what I know. I don't know everything. I am not as all-knowing as I seem. I know I seem that way, but I am but human. I know nothing. But I will say, if you've got questions, put them in there. If I can answer it, I will. If not, somebody else will have a good answer for you. There's a lot of drama flying around about this sim, and I hate that because we don't know how good we got it. Let's go into the opinion section here. Uh-oh. See, the big thing for me is I'm really excited for 2020. I've played it, okay? And there's not a lot of us that have played it already. And I will tell you personally, I am really excited. And it's not for any one of the particular features, it's the overall stability. And some people have said, well, 2024 is just an update to 2020. It's just a patch. It's fixing what was already a beta game originally. And I tell them they clearly have no idea how video game design works. And I'm sorry if that's offensive to anybody, but they don't. Because the only way to really fix 2020 was to rebuild it from the ground up. It had some core issues, and considering how monumentally amazing and so much of a step up 2020 was from FSX, let's not remember, a 32-bit program most of us were using for 15, 16 years, it was incredible. Bugs and all. Compared to FSX, it was incredible. It is incredible. Now it's still incredible. And we got 4+ years of free world updates, free avionics updates, improvements to the sim. We got more accurate GPSs and glass cockpits. We got world updates all over the world for free. I got more than my money's worth out of this sim. I could have paid for the amount of stuff we got free from Asobo over 4 years. It could have cost me thousands in FSX. So to pay for Premium Deluxe or Aviator or whatever of 2024, to me is absolutely worth every cent. Every penny, every whatever. It's a really good deal. Is it an update? No, it's not an update. It's not a patch. The physics depth is much bigger. Now, a lot of the default aircraft that are from 2020 don't seem that different. Like the 172. New aircraft do seem different and behave differently. Their flight behavior is more predictable, more realistic, and more human, which is weird because we're talking about machines. Everything feels like it should be doing what it's doing. Now, I didn't really get to see any of the wake turbulence, but that's a really cool thing that even exists. The air modelling is dramatically different and better. There's much more realism to how the air behaves. And when it comes to how your plane's going to react to that, from the videos we saw in the presentation, it looks really exciting, especially what it's causing in the sim around it. Things like Microsoft's fly-in. They do their community fly-in events, which I was lucky enough to be invited to co-host last week. From Prague to Berlin was fantastic. It was hundreds of people. Imagine a wake turbulence event like that in multiplayer. It'll be insane. Things like Cross the Pond in VATSIM will be insane with wake turbulence to be considered at arrival and departure airports. It'll be wild. And the ground deformation will be something cool to play with for developers, because they'll be able to really work with that and decide how firm or soft the ground is or where you're landing. It'll give us cool abilities to try different things, and it'll make recce passes and test landings super important. It'll enhance bush flying. Mounted flying will be dramatically different for gliders, for powered aircraft. For the airliner people, it might be a new start. It might be a new pathway to something cooler, better, bigger. We're already seeing exciting things coming in terms of the 4,500 737 Maxes that are being announced for 2024. Because apparently everyone's making one of those. Airbuses, probably those too. Or air cars, or air taxis, or air coaches. I don't know, whatever. I don't understand airliners. You all know that by now. But we're seeing a huge variety of things, which is going to be super exciting. And the weather, even the little bits of it I saw, looked way more realistic and more interesting. The stuff we got told about how the weather behaves now is going to be that it's much more dynamically processed and much better behaving in terms of how it's actually going to react in that world. Also, if you pass through a cloud now, you're going to kick it out of the way with that wake turbulence, and you're going to spiral smoke and things, which is wild. So that's going to be really fun. And we talk about career mode, of course. Everyone's going, I don't want to do that. And, well, you can skip the lessons if you don't want to actually do the licenses. If you think you're Mr. Goat, I've got 3,500 hours flying simulated Airbuses, I want to skip straight to commercial pilot and career, you can. That's fine. I think it's going to be fun to do. Now, there's been some information revealed which is a little upsetting to me, which is that it will only work with aircraft in the marketplace and or stock, because they can be verified as not having mods in them, basically. So it's like an anti-cheat measure. So the career mode will let you use any aircraft that's marketplace-based or has a marketplace version and or is a stock plane, because that way you can't mod its speed and cargo capacity to be insanely stupid and just cheat the game. Why anybody would cheat at Flight Sim, I don't know, but there you go. Unfortunate, because I want to fly the Duckworth mod, which I'm sure there'll be a 2024 Duckworth mod for the DC-3, because it's my favourite combo of mod and aeroplane. Stock aeroplane, sure, but I don't want to fly this thing stock, because it sucks stock. I think what's going to be most monumental, though, is the potential of this sim. Not what we get out the gate, because what we're getting out of the gate is incredible. I think it's really exciting. We're getting so much opportunity, so many new things, that I'm super excited to see what we're going to have going forwards. Because not only we are expecting a lifetime of updates and world updates, avionics updates, like we got in 2020, but with the potential for developers to improve what aircraft can do, to enhance those capabilities and improve what we're able to actually enjoy in the simulator, I am really excited at the future of our sims. Because 2024 marks not just a new step, but a gateway. It is the future. It is a future direction, and it is signalling what we can see going on from here. Will we see Flight Sim 2028? Maybe. Will we see Flight Sim 32? Maybe. I'm most excited to see what comes out next. Because at the end of the day, what we have is going to be great. But what it allows us to do, there's air modelling around aircraft, the turbulence modelling, the potential for so much more resolution to the ground, to aircraft surfaces, to allow for much more fidelity in flight models, to allow nuances of drag from deploying the rat, from your aircraft having a drop pod under the wing, or the drag generated by a gear being stuck partway down. Like, these components will add so much more depth and fidelity to our sim world that we have not experienced in the same way. And maybe one day we will see the fabled dual jetways. Maybe that could be in our future. Maybe this could allow a developer, a third-party developer, a brave soul, to step forward and take up the chalice of the dual jetways. Why did you choose to die on that hill? Really? Either way, I digress. I got called a shill because I went to this event that Microsoft invited me to. I suffered sitting in airline seats for 14 to 16 hours with stopovers in Charles de Gaulle, by the way. I love visiting Charles de Gaulle. It's a great airport with no problems ever. It was tough. It was a great event, and it was exciting that we got to do cool stuff, but what I was most excited about was seeing what the sim will do, was playing it, was hearing about it, was talking to David Dedan, was talking to Sebastian Vloch and Jörg Neumann, the guys from Working Title, of course, Chris and Brandon from Got Friends. What was super exciting, though, was talking to them, because I've met some developers of games before, and they seem really cool about their product, but those guys were so enthusiastic, and it wasn't just, this is what we're bringing for 2024. Their attitude was, this is what we can do next. This is what we can do with the future. This is what I want to do after this. None of them were stopping. None of them see this as the end, or even a completed thing. This is a gateway to a new world. And I never thought, as someone who spent years, almost a decade in FSX, I hoped we'd see a new sim. I never thought it'd be like this. I never once dreamed we'd have a sim like this. It's incredible. And to think it's going to get bigger and better, I'm losing my mind with excitement. So for those of you sitting back and just crapping all over 2024, all of whom who have not touched it, all of whom who are going off what they've seen on the internet, rumours, supposition, and yeah, in some cases actual facts still, like incomplete facts in the most part. Is it going to be perfect? No, it's not. Of course it's not. But it's going to be a lot better than 2020. And I'm absolutely A-okay with that. So consider this part, Avangel answers some of your quarrel questions. Consider this part, Avangel rants about 2024. And hopefully you enjoyed my opinion and you got some questions answered. And maybe I wasn't wrong about something. And if I was, tell me. I don't think I was. Pretty sure I'm right. But most importantly, you got to watch a beautiful aeroplane flying through the Austrian Alps. Yes, the DC-3. One of the most beautiful aircraft of all time. And the only airliner I'll fly. Other than vintage jets occasionally, because things like the F-28 are cute. It's really cute. But the DC-3 is the airliner I have the most hours in, and the one I will fly the most. So, there you go. I do fly airliners. Just this one. And on that bombshell that none of you could see coming, I'll talk to you all soon. And hopefully you managed to put up with a very pretty view for this talk. Granted, it's not 2024, but you've seen all that footage. This is too pretty not to watch over and over again. Thank you for watching. Or listening. Bye.